All right, enough about the coaches. Let's talk about the players, shall we? John, where does this leave the three American players right now that are at Leeds United? Weston McKennie, Brenden Aaronson, and of course, Tyler Adams.
I think it's simply a matter of who comes in and how well they know those players, how much they like them or otherwise. What I would say is that I think Tyler Adams has made a terrific impression this season. Brenden Aaronson started the season really well, and Weston McKennie's credentials are well known right across Europe. So any manager that comes in, looks at those three Americans and thinks they're American, I'm not sure they're up to the mark, is going to be making a big mistake. And also, they're a big proportion of the squad. They don't have the biggest squad. They don't have much depth. They don't have a whole lot of quality in that squad. What they do have is largely represented by those three and a handful of others. There's an awful lot of players in that group representing Leeds United who arguably are not really Premier League standard. And I'm not talking about the American contingent in the squad. So I think they're going to be key for whoever comes in.
Yeah,
Herc,
I think, yes.
Of the three, who are you most worried for?
Easy money's on Brenden Aaronson, right? Because the way he started and the way he's kind of fizzled out, some would question maybe the physical attributes and if he's been up to snuff for the Premier League and the demands of the Premier League. But I wholeheartedly agree with John. It all depends on who comes in. What if the next coach who comes in doesn't want to play a double pivot and he wants more of a ball progressing midfielder? He wants more of somebody who can be good in that possession, that link-up play, or maybe that final pass. Tyler Adams has been absolutely amazing for the things that Tyler Adams can do, for the ability to win the ball, for the ability to play simple, for the ability to cover ground. But what if the next coach doesn't necessarily want that? These are things that could impact the players' ability to stay on the field. So easy money would be Brenden Aaronson. But Tyler Adams, for as good as he's been, there are a lot of things that just necessarily aren't part of his game. So whoever comes in, that needs to be a role that Tyler Adams says, this is for me and I can keep. And Weston McKennie, it's too early to tell. I would say he's got a lot of attributes that I think are fitting for the Premier League. And I would assume if you spend that kind of money, potentially, because all he needs to do is play in 10 games and save, or Leeds be saved, and it's a $34 million buyout there. That's a lot of money you don't just spend on anybody. So I assume he's in their plans long term.
John, you agree with Herc that Brenden Aaronson is the American that should be the most worried at Leeds? I mean, Weston McKennie just made the move. That timing is awfully unfortunate from the player's perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think from Chris Armis's perspective as well, albeit he's going to be in charge against his former club a couple of times in the next week by the looks of it, what are his job prospects longer term? So I think the timing of this is unfortunate for a number of people that are involved, not least, of course, Jesse Marsch. But specifically, when it comes to Brenden Aaronson, I think he showed enough in the first 3 or 4 months of the season before the World Cup, before he started to tire a little, before the physical toll of the Premier League began to exact itself upon him, to show that he does have a place in the league going forward. He can still fill out, he can bulk up. I've seen so many players of his age who look a little fragile and frail, and a year down the line, their bodies have been transformed and suddenly they look very much at home and they're up to the physical challenge. So by no means would I rule out Brenden Aaronson. My question mark for him would just be, what role does he play amidst the muck and nettles of a Premier League relegation battle over the next 3 months? Longer term, I have no worries for him.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.